You think you're just tired? Maybe it's been a long day or the house feels too quiet. You sigh, sit on the couch, and stare at nothing. But across the room, he sees you. He always does. His tail doesn't wag like it used to. His eyes follow you not because he wants food or a walk, but because he's trying to understand. He doesn't know why you turned away when he reached out, why your tone got sharp, why you left without a goodbye. He just knows something's changed. And that's the heartbreak. Not the big events, but the small unnoticed moments, repeated day after day. In this video, we'll uncover 20 everyday things, tiny habits, casual actions that might be quietly hurting your dog's feelings. You'll learn what they feel, how they read you, and what they wish you knew. So let's begin not with science or commands, but with the love you might be losing without realizing it. 1. Inconsistency. He doesn't ask for much, just that you show up the same way every day. Same time, same tone, same little routine. But lately, breakfast comes late. Walks are skipped. Your mood swings like a door on a windy day. At first, he waits. Then he watches. And slowly, he worries. Dogs are creatures of habit. They build their sense of safety around patterns, your footsteps at 7 a.m., the rattle of food bowls, the sound of your keys when it's walk time. When those disappear, so does their sense of security. For them, inconsistency isn't random. It's rejection they can't explain. A study in Scientific Reports 2020 shows that dogs not only recognize patterns, they feel emotional distress when routines break unpredictably, like a child left waiting at school with no pickup. And the fix, it's not perfection. It's presence. Even if the walk is shorter, even if the food comes late, speak, connect, explain. Let them know you're still their constant. Because to them, your routine is love. But sometimes, the way we discipline them breaks that trust even more. Rubbing their nose. You come home, and there it is. A mess on the floor. Frustration rises, and without thinking, you grab their collar, drag them over, and rub their nose in it. You think you're teaching them a lesson. But in his mind, the only lesson is, you're ashamed of me. He doesn't connect the punishment to the act. Not hours later. What he remembers is your grip, your voice, and the humiliation of being shoved into something he can't fix. Imagine being scolded in public for something you didn't even know you did wrong. That's what this feels like for him. Shame without understanding, fear without learning. A study published in Applied Animal Behavior Science, 2017, found that dogs punished this way exhibit signs of confusion, lowered body posture, and avoidance behaviors, none of which promote learning. Only fear. If you catch him in the act, a firm no and gentle redirection is enough. But if it's after the fact, clean it up. Move on. Love louder than the mess. Because that shame lingers. And sometimes it shows up in ways you don't even notice, like when you reach to show affection, but they flinch. 3. Petting their head. You reach down, give him a few quick pats on the head. It feels like love. To you. But watch him closely next time. Does he blink? Turn away. Flatten his ears. That's not affection. It's discomfort. Many dogs don't like being patted on the head. It's a vulnerable area, especially when a hand comes from above. It can feel like a threat, not a hug. You wouldn't like someone slapping the top of your head every time you walked into the room. Neither does he. Behaviorists have noted that dogs often tolerate head pats rather than enjoy them. The signs are subtle, tight mouth, turning the head pulling away, but they're real. Instead, try stroking his chest, shoulders, or the base of his tail. Watch for the signs he actually wants more, leaning in, soft eyes, tail relaxed. Let him lead the affection, not just receive it. Because when touch becomes a demand instead of a connection, it pushes you further from the bond you're trying to build. And when that bond breaks, we often do something even worse. We raise our voice. 4. Shouting at them. You didn't mean to yell, but the mess was big. The barking wouldn't stop. The day had already worn you thin. So you snapped, and he froze. Dogs don't understand your words. They read tone, posture, energy. When you shout, they don't hear no or stop. They hear anger, volume, danger. And it doesn't teach them what to do, it just teaches them to fear you. In a 2020 study published in Scientific Reports, dogs trained with aversive methods like shouting showed elevated stress behaviors, lip-licking, yawning, crouching, and even increased cortisol levels, the stress hormone. These aren't signs of learning. They're signs of shutting down. You're not a bad person for getting frustrated. But the moment your voice becomes a weapon, the trust you've built starts to crack. Instead, lower your tone. Breathe. Use fewer words, more clarity. Firm doesn't need to be loud. Because once he stops listening out of love and starts reacting out of fear, you've already lost something precious. And when that fear turns to distance, the silence between you can grow wider than you ever expected. 5. Being a party pooper. He walks over, tail wagging, ball in his mouth. You barely glance up from your phone. He drops it at your feet. Waits. You say, "Not now." So he picks it up, tries again. You turn away. Eventually, he stops trying. Dogs are social animals. They don't just crave food or shelter, they crave interaction. Play isn't just fun for them, it's bonding. It's communication. It's their way of saying, "I want to be near you. I still see you as my world." When you consistently ignore those invitations, whether it's a toy, a bark, or a gentle nudge, you're not just saying, "Not now." You're saying, "You don't matter." Research from Animal Cognition shows that dogs interpret human attention shifts like phone use or eye contact breaks as social rejection. Not just neglect, rejection. You don't need to play fetch for hours. Sometimes a 5-minute tug-a-cuddle on the floor, or even eye contact with a soft "Hey buddy," is enough to tell him, "I see you." Because if we keep ignoring those moments, he'll stop offering them. And when he faces something truly scary, he might not come to you at all. Especially if he's learned that fear is something we mock. Laughing at their fears. The thunder cracks. He bolts under the table, trembling. You chuckle. Come on, it's just noise. Or he sees the vacuum. Tail tucks, ears drop. You smile, pull out your phone, record him. It feels harmless. But to him, it's not. Dogs feel fear the same way we do, through their nervous system, their hormones, their instincts. Fear isn't funny to them. It's real. And when their person, their safe place, laughs instead of comforts, it doesn't just confuse them, it wounds them. A 2021 review in Frontiers in Veterinary Science found that dogs experiencing acute fear from common household triggers like fireworks, storms, or vacuums show elevated heart rates and cortisol spikes even long after the event. These aren't quirks, they're stress injuries. What they need isn't laughter, it's presence. Sit with them. Speak soft. Offer your lap or just a safe corner with a blanket. And if their fear feels too deep, get help. A vet or behaviorist can guide desensitization safely. Because mocking fear builds silence, not trust. And when trust gets shaky, even something as sacred as mealtime can turn into a battlefield. Set. Taking their food away. He lowers his head, begins to eat. Slowly, quietly. Then mid-bite, your hand reaches in. Maybe to adjust the bowl, maybe to test his obedience. But in his world, that bite just became a threat. In the wild, food is survival. Even the most domesticated dog still carries echoes of that truth. And when we suddenly take their food away, or put our hands in while they eat, we're not training. We're disrupting something sacred. It's not about dominance, it's about security. Dogs who feel unsafe around meals may develop guarding behaviors, growling, snapping, eating too fast, not because they're bad, but because they've learned food can disappear even when I need it most. A study from the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that food guarding in dogs often stems from inconsistent or threatening human interference, not natural aggression. It's learned. From us. Want to build trust. Teach leave it gently. Use positive reinforcement, not force. Let meals be predictable. Let bowls stay full until he's done. Because when even eating feels unsafe, the world becomes a place to guard, not enjoy. And when he tries to reach for comfort, the last thing he needs is to be pushed away. Pushing them away, he climbs up beside you. Just wants to be near. Maybe nudges your arm, leans into your chest. You're tired, maybe annoyed. So you push him off. No words, just the motion. Just enough to say, not now. But to him, it says more. Dogs crave touch not as a luxury, but as reassurance. They lean in not for warmth, but for connection. And when the response is rejection, physical, even if gentle, it cuts deeper than silence. For dogs who've experienced trauma, abandonment, neglect, long shelter stays a single push, can echo like a shout. Even for those raised with love, repetition of being brushed aside builds a quiet kind of grief. Experts in canine behavior note that dogs measure emotional closeness through proximity and contact. Denied often enough, they don't just stop seeking, they question whether they're welcome at all. If you need space, that's okay. Just use your voice. A soft "not now" with eye contact. A redirect to a toy. Let no feel like a boundary, not punishment. Because the worst kind of distance is the one wrapped in confusion. And sometimes they reach out the only way they know how, with a paw, a scratch, a gentle tap on your leg, hoping you'll hear what they can't say. 9. Ignoring paw scratching. A soft tap, just a paw on your leg. It's not urgent. It's not loud. Just a request. And you scroll past it. Watch TV past it. Fall asleep past it. But for him, that was effort. That was communication. That was vulnerability. Dogs use body language more than any bark or whine. A paw scratch isn't always about food or play. It's often just their way of saying, I need something. Maybe just you. When you ignore it again and again, it teaches them my voice doesn't matter here. In a 2019 study on canine-human interaction, researchers found that dogs who received consistent feedback, verbal or physical, when attempting to initiate contact, had lower anxiety scores and were more socially secure. It's not about spoiling, it's about answering the question, do I still have you? So next time that paw reaches out, pause. Even if it's just a glance, a touch, hey bud, let him know he's seen. Because when small signals get missed, dogs retreat. Sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally. And if you've ever seen one hide in a corner, you know what that looks like. Especially if that corner is a crate. 10. Using the crate as punishment. You yell. He flinches. And then you point to the crate. He walks in, head low. Not because he understands, but because he's confused, and he knows you're upset. The crate. What used to be a cozy den filled with soft blankets now feels like exile. For dogs, the crate should be a sanctuary, a place of rest. Like a bedroom, not a prison. But when we send them there only after mistakes, or worse, in anger, we change its meaning entirely. Behavioral research in Journal of Applied Animal Welfare Science has shown that crates used as punishment increase anxiety, delay training progress, and can even trigger aggression in already sensitive dogs. The goal isn't to avoid discipline, it's to reshape the tool. Make the crate a choice, not a sentence. Feed him in there. Give him treats. Let the door stay open more than it's closed. Because when home becomes punishment, trust doesn't just bend, it breaks. And once that trust is fragile, even a simple goodbye, if done wrong, can feel like abandonment. 11. Leaving abruptly without goodbye. You grab your keys, throw on a jacket. The door clicks shut, and inside he waits. No words, no touch. Just the scent of you fading. You think he'll be fine. I'm just running errands. But to him, the world just went silent. His person, his anchor disappeared. Again. Dogs don't understand calendars or clocks. They understand presence. And when you vanish without warning day after day, it builds a quiet panic. One that shows up in chewed shoes, torn cushions, or just sad eyes by the door. Studies on separation anxiety in dogs show that even brief departures, if abrupt and without signals of safety, can trigger distress patterns, especially in older dogs or rescues. The fix isn't dramatic, it's simple. A word, a pat, a routine that says, "I always come back, be good, I'll see you soon." That small phrase repeated daily becomes a rope across the hours. Because when they know you'll return, they can rest. But when even that rhythm is lost, like mealtime shifting without reason, their day unravels. 12. Breaking feeding time habits. It used to be clockwork. He'd sit by the bowl at 6:30 sharp, tail wagging, eyes bright, because he knew you remembered. But lately, dinner comes late. Or not at all. Sometimes rushed. Sometimes cold. Not the food. The moment. Feeding time isn't just nutrition. It's ritual. It's the highlight of his day, shaped around predictability, routine, and care. When it disappears, he doesn't just miss the food. He questions the bond. For senior dogs especially, routine is safety. And when that's broken even unintentionally, it can trigger anxiety, pacing, whining, or withdrawal. It's not drama. It's their world shifting under their paws. A 2023 study on geriatric canine behavior found that disruptions in feeding schedules correlate directly with increased signs of disorientation and vocalization, early signals of emotional distress. It's not about perfection. It's about pattern. A gentle word, a filled bowl, a sense that you're still my priority. Because dogs don't count hours. They count us. And when your rhythm fades, sometimes, they try to read your voice instead. But what happens when your voice says happy, and everything else says no? 13. Using sarcasm or fake tone. Oh, what a good boy, you say through clenched teeth. Your voice is high. Your words sound sweet. But your energy, sharp, cold, far away. He tilts his head, confused. Because to him, tone is meaning. And when the sound of your voice doesn't match your body, your scent, your gaze, it creates static. Disconnection. Emotional static. Dogs are masters of tone. They've evolved alongside us for thousands of years, decoding not just words, but breath energy and intent. When your tone pretends, they feel the gap, and in that gap, trust slips. A 2022 study from the University of Vienna found that dogs respond more positively to consistent emotional tone than to actual words, especially in commands and praise. Fake happiness. They know. So if you're upset, be calm. If you're tired, be quiet. But above all, be honest. Your dog isn't judging your mood. He's searching for your truth. Because it's better to sit beside him in silence than to smile while pushing him away. And when he brings you something, his toy, his favorite thing in the world, and you ignore it, that silence cuts deeper than any word. 14. Ignoring when they offer toys, he walks over tail, swaying just slightly toy in his mouth. Not bouncing, not begging, just hoping. He drops it near your foot, looks up, and waits. You nod. Later. Or worse, you don't even see it. That toy. It's not just rubber and squeak. It's an offering. A bridge. The only language he has to say, I want to connect. I want you to see me. When we ignore those offerings day after day, they stop coming. Not out of defiance. Out of resignation. In dogs, gift-giving is a sign of trust and social bonding. According to canine behaviorists, bringing you a toy mimics a pack gesture. What's mine is yours. Let's share this. It's not about fetch. It's about being part of your world. Even 2 minutes of play acknowledging the gift can reinforce that connection. Because if love isn't received, it fades. And when that love is all they have, silence starts to sound like goodbye. Especially in moments when their bodies are in pain, and all they want is comfort, not distance. 15. Denying them comfort during illness. She limps across the room slower than yesterday. Eyes cloudy, breath heavier. You notice, but you look away. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the ache of knowing what's coming. Maybe you think she needs rest, not attention. But in her final seasons, it's not food or medicine. She remembers most, it's touch. Dogs, like people, crave reassurance in pain. They seek presence, warmth, a gentle hand saying you're still safe here. When we withhold that, out of discomfort or denial, they don't just suffer physically. They suffer alone. A 2021 article in Veterinary Clinics of North America highlighted how emotional support during illness improves both quality of life and recovery outlook even in chronic conditions like arthritis or canine cognitive decline. You don't need to fix anything. Just be there. Sit beside her. Let her rest her head on your foot. Let her know your love doesn't vanish when she's no longer strong. Because the most heartbreaking part of decline is feeling invisible. And sometimes, even the smallest joys like following you from room to room get taken from her too soon. 16. Not letting them follow you. You get up, walk to the bedroom, close the door behind you. Click. On the other side, silence. He was halfway down the hall when it shut. Nose against the wood, ears alert. And then down. You didn't mean to exclude him. Maybe you needed space. Maybe it was habit. But to him, that closed door isn't just a boundary. It's a question. Why not me? Dogs are pack animals. Their instinct is to stay close, especially to the one they trust most. Following you isn't clinginess. It's devotion. Its home is where you are. Repeatedly shutting them out can chip away at that safety. And for older dogs or rescues, it can reawaken the ache of past abandonment. You can teach boundaries with compassion, a soft word, a redirect, a moment of acknowledgement, because they don't need to be everywhere. They just need to be welcome. And when they finally do get to be near you, tail wagging, eyes bright, and you ignore that greeting, that moment, once warm, becomes cold. 17. Not acknowledging their greetings, you walk in the door. He runs up, tail circling, body wiggling with joy. But you're tired, distracted. Your eyes stay on your phone. Your feet keep moving. And just like that, the moment is gone. Dogs don't fake excitement. That rush to greet you, that's real. That's their version of I missed you so much I couldn't hold it in. When we ignore that day after day, they stop rushing. Then stop coming. And one day, you wonder why they don't seem happy anymore. But it started with one missed hello. Behaviorists note that greeting rituals in dogs are critical bonding cues. They aren't optional fluff. They're relational glue. And when those rituals go unreciprocated, dogs interpret it as rejection, even if it's unintentional. You don't need a parade. Just a pause. A hand on the head. A hey buddy. Because to him, your return is the best part of his day. Let him know it matters to you too. And when he does something wrong, gets scared, reacts, you don't need to grab or shout. But sometimes, even when we mean to help, we go too far. 18. Overhandling when they're scared. The thunder hits. He shakes. You rush in, scoop him up, hold him tight. You mean well. You want to calm him. But he stiffens, eyes wide, breath fast. And suddenly, your comfort feels like pressure. When dogs are afraid, their first instinct isn't always to be held, it's to feel safe. Safe sometimes means space. Sometimes a dark corner. Sometimes just knowing you're there, not on them. We confuse physical contact with reassurance. But for some dogs especially, those with trauma or high sensitivity being touched, while panicked, only adds to the fear. Experts in canine trauma note that forcing proximity during fear, spikes like fireworks or storms, can escalate anxiety and even delay recovery from phobias. Instead, observe. Let him choose closeness. Be nearby, soft voice, slow movements. Let the trust build in silence, not restraint. Because comfort isn't about control, it's about consent. And if you push too often or too hard eventually, he won't reach for you at all. He'll find his own corner, his own hiding place. One you might not notice until it's become permanent. 19. Not providing quiet, safe spaces. He disappears for a while. Not underfoot, not barking, just gone. You find him later tucked behind the couch under a table in a dark hallway corner. You think, that's weird. Why there? But to him, it's not weird. It's refuge. Dogs need quiet places, spaces where the world doesn't press in, where thunder can't reach, where footsteps don't follow. It's not about hiding, it's about recovering. Yet many homes offer no safe den, no consistent soft spot. Crates become punishment zones. Corners are cluttered, and the only quiet room off-limits. For senior dogs, anxious rescues, or those facing health decline, a dedicated safe space isn't luxury. It's necessity. Canine behaviorists suggest designating a space with soft bedding, low lighting, and predictability. A place they can go to, and more importantly, come back from. Because when the world overwhelms them, what they need isn't to be held tighter. It's to know they're free to breathe without being forgotten. And if you're wondering whether that distance means they've stopped trusting you, look into their eyes. But if you turn away even from that, something in them starts to turn off too. 20. Turning away when they seek eye contact. He's watching you. Quiet. Still. Not for food. Not for play. Just looking. Dogs seek eye contact, not to challenge, but to connect. It's their way of saying, are we still okay? Are we still a team? Do I still have you? And when you look away, distracted, tired, or just not in the mood, that thread thins. You might not notice it the first time, or the fifth, but one day he stops looking. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he's not sure if you're still looking back. In 2015, a study from Science revealed that mutual eye contact between dogs and their humans triggers an oxytocin release, the same hormone that bonds parents to children. It's not a glance, it's a lifeline. So when his eyes find yours, pause, hold it. Let him know, yes, I'm still yours. Because that look may be the only wordless way he has left to say goodbye long before he ever leaves. Maybe now you see it was never the big moments, not the birthday parties, not the treats, not even the long walks on sunny days. It was the sigh you didn't explain, the toy you stepped over, the crate you slammed, the closed door, the glance you never returned. It was small, repeated things, the kind that don't break a bone, but bruise a heart. And they didn't bark. They didn't rebel. They just dimmed. Because dogs don't leave when they're hurt. They stay, quietly, faithfully, waiting for the version of you they still believe in. You think you've got time to fix it, to change, to look them in the eyes and say, I see you now. But one day, the bed will be empty, the tail still, the house too quiet, and you'll remember every time you almost said yes. That's why this matters not to be perfect, but to be present, to see the love they give and meet it with the love they hope for. He was my best friend. It wasn't long enough. Maybe you haven't said it yet. Maybe you already have. Either way, today is still a chance. So if this video gave you pause, if it made you think of him or her, or the one that saved you when you couldn't save yourself, leave a comment. Tell us who they were, what they meant. We'll read every word. And if you're ready next time, we'll talk about something even more tender, how dogs say goodbye long before they leave. You don't want to miss that one. If this helped you see your dog a little clearer, stay. There's more ahead, because the ones we love never really leave. Not when we carry them right.